Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on Medical Devices 2020, Opportunities Exceeding Challenges. On behalf of Beroe, I would like to welcome you all to another webinar from Beroe Insights. I will now quickly introduce our presenters. My name is Janani Narasimhan, and I'm a senior principal with over 8 years of work experience in healthcare research and consulting. In my current role as a senior principal for medical devices, formulations and APIs, I manage a core team of 25 analysts across different geographies. Some of my responsibilities revolve around research delivery and client management, with a specific focus on maintaining the quality of research output, identification of new business opportunities, and monitoring industry developments to better support clients and provide direction to the research team. Chandrakant Gautam is the domain lead for medical device monitoring category at Beroe. He specializes in electromedical and drug delivery, providing procurement-related intelligence and solutions to Fortune 500 companies. Chandrakant has also been an opinion leader in major events such as Informa Life Sciences Drug Delivery Summit, OMIC Group's Biosimilar Summit, and SMI Group Prefilled Syringe America Summit, among others. He has also written several and published several thought leadership papers in leading medical device journals. Some of the topics covered in his papers include REACH and ROHS, a pathway for medical devices buyers, conflict mineral compliance, technology and its role in medical devices, etc. So before we move ahead with the presentation, I have a few general set of instructions as always. Please note that all the attendees will be placed on mute. During the course of the presentation, if you would like to post questions, you will find a box on the right-hand side indicated in red. I request you to type in your question and hit the send button. As the presentation progresses, I will note down the high-frequency questions and post it to the presenter at the end of the session. If you experience any connectivity issues, I request you to close the window, go back to the email and try to reconnect using the same link. If there are further problems, please do not hesitate to email Puneet at puneet.ramal@bero-inc.com, which you can also find in the email shared with you earlier. Once again, I'd like to thank you for your participation today. The healthcare sector is faced with varied challenges, right from escalating costs to difficulties in holistic management of diseases. This is coupled with bottlenecks created by legislative, administrative, and regulatory agencies, resulting in an inefficient delivery of care. Within the healthcare industry, medical devices continues to be one of the most dynamic sectors instrumental in transforming the industry landscape. However, things won't remain static forever. Procurement challenges faced by sourcing managers within the medical devices market are only going to increase in its complexity. Procurement decisions and policies would need to be developed and evaluated based on the impact on total cost rather than solely based on the initial product price. Today, sourcing managers face a wide variety of challenges that range from need for supplier consolidation, which is to secure maximum cost savings. Sourcing managers are constantly under pressure to consolidate the supply base, which would result in a reduced supply chain complexity. Need for efficient technology scouting. Identification of technology that would enhance product features and reduce lead time. How could sourcing managers leverage the developments in emerging market? Multiple gateways to explore emerging markets include Greenfield operations, private labeling, and partnering with domestic CMOs. How to remain updated about industry happenings. Sourcing managers now than ever need to be aware and stay abreast about market developments, not just within their therapeutic focus areas, but across categories. This would enable them to adopt best-in-class practices. Up until now, we have noticed that there is only one constant in an ever-changing market, and that is sourcing managers' decisions predominantly center around existing product focus, with a very little thought on what's lined up in the future. The challenges mentioned earlier might seem relevant today, but not necessarily 6 years from now. We anticipate that certain trends will fade off, while the others will become more prominent. The procurement challenges of the future are likely to undergo a massive shift.
I'd like to quickly take you through the structure of this webinar. The webinar is split into two sections. The first half of the webinar would provide an overview of the medical devices market, along with major business trends and developments. This section is predominantly aimed at summarizing the activities carried out by the buyers, who are also known as original equipment manufacturers or the OEMs. The second section of the webinar would focus on the initiatives undertaken by the CMOs, that is, the suppliers, in accordance with the changes occurring at the buyer front. And in the final section, we would like to conclude by talking about how the procurement challenges in the medical devices industry would be drastically different from those of the current ones, thanks to the evolving business trends that's currently playing out in the buyers as well as supplier markets. Now let's explore some of the evolving trends on the buyer's side. Medical devices industry, as we know today, has multiple business segments which include in vitro diagnostics, cardiology, orthopedics, imaging, and others. 85% of the worldwide medical devices sales include 15 of such business segments. However, as of 2013, approximately 45% of revenue is contributed by in vitro diagnostics, cardiology, orthopedics, and imaging alone. Looking at the top 4 therapeutic segments that contribute to 45% of sales, each of the segments have indulged in multiple activities, keeping in mind the recent developments in the medical devices market. Stryker's acquisition of Macrosurgical and Zimmer acquiring Biomet indicates the magnitude of M&As in the orthopedic segment. Cross-therapeutic M&As witnessed similar dynamics where Medtronic-Covidien merger was valued at $42.5 billion. Medtronic materialized its vision of using emerging market capabilities by moving significant percentage of its operations to emerging markets. Business segments such as diagnostic imaging and in vitro diagnostics countered fading sales by leveraging novel gateways such as refurbished devices and companion diagnostics, respectively. The medical devices market has constantly endeavored to keep pace with the increasing demand by driving innovations resulting in an improved quality of life. Each therapeutic sector within the medical devices market is governed by distinctive issues and trends. We will now look at some of the major trends that would define the future of the medical devices market. Some of the top trends that would define the revenues of the major business segments in the coming years include mergers and acquisition, VC funding, refurbished devices, and e-commerce. Innovation in healthcare has resulted in a shift in surgical procedures from being highly to minimally invasive and progressed therapies from late-stage treatment to early-stage prevention and management. Such innovations have often required a paradigm shift in thought and the capital to transform thoughts into tangible and marketable products. Companies such as Medtronic and Genentech were backed by venture capital. While the VC dollars continues to increase, the type of investments has shifted to technologically advanced products with a clearer path to market. 3 major therapeutic segments whose growth will outpace others in the coming years, mainly on the account of VC funding, are orthopedics, in vitro diagnostics, and cardiology. But despite changes to the market and cost containment measures in healthcare, many investors still feel that the medical devices sector represents a more stable outlook than the other industries. VC dollars also seem to be shifting to late-stage companies where the risk is not high. Investors increasingly choose companies that provide quicker returns on investment due to the unpredictability of clinical trial outcome, and the long winding path to market. Companies tend to make strategic investments in potentially disruptive technology. As they reach commercialization, VC investments provide total ownership. Venture capital Boston Millennia Initiative resulted in the acquisition of CardioMEMS by St. Jude Medical. Sourcing managers of the acquiring company must now be prepared for such unprecedented moves, resulting in an increased supply chain complexity due to an addition of novel product and regions. On account of various factors which have developed in the recent times, where mega mergers and increased penetration to emerging markets have caught up in both value and count size. Let's take a quick overview of M&As amid well-established firms. 6 therapeutic segments out of the top 10, which account for more than 80% of the overall medical devices sales, tend to be more focused on mergers and acquisition activities in the recent past than ever before. Though the number of deals have remained fairly consistent, the overall dollar value of these transactions has fluctuated, with the past 2 or 3 years being particularly strong and aggressive. There's also a strong trend involving merger of cross-therapeutic segments, for example, Medtronic's acquisition of Covidien. All these trends that are growing at a rampant pace would need sourcing managers to carefully analyze their supply chain and establish a strong link with few of the very important subjects in their supply chain, that is, the CMO partners, technology partners, sourcing regions, etc. The need for category managers to have relationships which extends beyond current engagements of manufacturing to future engagements of supply-driven innovation is mandatory. Extending the partnership with technology suppliers beyond current devices and look out for regions beyond greenfield operations would be of great relevance in the coming years. These are expected to be driven by not just managing the supply chain internally, but also reviewing the supply chain of leading CMOs. Now, this will help establish sufficient threads which could be joined amid the operations of OEMs and CMOs such as Accalent, Great Batch, and Orchid. While Orchid has become vertically integrated, others such as Great Batch has increased its portfolio of background IPs, and Accalent has scaled up its capacity significantly. Amid different trends that are picking up in the healthcare sector, one of the segments which have got the attention of leading medical device OEMs such as Siemens, Philips, Stryker, and GE is refurbished device market. Cost-cutting measures at hospitals have forced them to consider alternative means for acquiring much-needed and high-value equipment. Market is poised to become $8.45 billion by 2017. Diagnostic imaging in particular is witnessing a rampant growth with refurbished devices such as CT, MRI, PET scanners, etc. Refurbished device market is seeing a high growth rate in comparison to its counterparts and is mainly driven from their sales in emerging markets. Emerging markets' inclination to refurbished device segment is mainly on the grounds of affordable buyout propaganda. Now, the average selling price of OEM refurbished device is approximately 30 to 40% less than the new equipment. The major challenge faced by medical devices companies is that the exported refurbished devices have limited after-sales support. This would require category managers to view their CMO partners beyond manufacturing and explore avenues that complement their current requirements in refurbished device space. Ever-changing trends in commerce and communication has resulted in a change in a new cost-effective procurement solution in the medical devices market. E-commerce has enabled even the smaller device companies to have cost-effective procurement solution enabling automated data exchange. The World Wide Web has become a viable sales channel where prospective buyers can not only buy from the confines of their homes and offices, but compare various products and prices as well. E-commerce companies such as Kerbo Labs, along with leading GPO Novation with its subsidiary Aptitude, have paved the way for medical devices market to systematically move from the conventional selling of devices to IoT, the Internet of Things. This is expected to give rise to various challenges such as cost competitiveness, lead time, and device uniqueness. All these, when added on one platform, would need sourcing managers to look at CMO partnerships in a more serious manner, resulting in a strategic collaboration for development and enhancement of their current products. Now, when we add all these line items and bring them to a common table to evaluate which business segments will drive the growth of medical devices market in the coming years, following are our observations. Amid the global approvals of medical devices, which is the direct function of a company's R&D spend, top business segments include cardiology, in vitro diagnostics, imaging, and orthopedics. Amid the business segments which generated maximum interest at VC and mergers and acquisitions, the torchbearers include cardiology, diagnostic imaging, orthopedics, and surgery. Further novel trends such as e-commerce and refurbished devices also share commonality in business segments, as I just mentioned. Based on these quantified data, it would be rather correct to say that cardiology, imaging, in vitro diagnostics, surgery, and orthopedics will define the future of medical devices sales. Activities of these segments have been credited to various rationales such as mergers and acquisitions, VC, e-commerce, personalized medicine, and one-stop shop to hospitals. An increasing trend that we anticipate is that general and specialty surgery segment would eventually become an integrated part of cardiology, orthopedic, or any other therapeutic segments. Analysis of these facts also help us to establish the string between these segments and the rationale aligned to their growth. It is evident that medical devices market in 2020 would see an overlap in terms of top business segments. However, their share based on various activities listed earlier such as mergers and acquisitions, VC, etc., will help the top OEMs to differentiate themselves directly by the revenue growth. Based on our estimates, there will be an uptick in the total market share of these top 5 business segments from 45% in 2013 to 60% in 2020. Well, these were some of the key trends and developments happening on the buyer side of the medical devices market. I'd now like to hand over to my colleague, Chandrakant, to take you through some of the initiatives taken by the CMOs, that is the suppliers, to complement the developments happening on the buyer's end. The initiatives listed would potentially transform how CMOs support medical devices OEMs in the various facets of the value chain.
Thank you, Janni. Good morning, everyone. As presented by Janni, medical device market has managed to grow consistently over the past 20 years. Though the market, like all other, is not recession-proof, it certainly is recession-resilient. Medical device industry is one of the most dynamic segments of healthcare. Strategic interoperability and integration is the need of the hour. Standalone devices are no longer sufficient to stay competitive in market, resulting in frantic technology breakthroughs, resulting in increased consolidation activities. As medical device OEMs grow in their operations through mergers and acquisition, VC, and emerging market ventures, so do their counterparts, the CMOs. A remarkable parallel progress has been made by CMOs, whose target is to streamline OEM strategy through their in-house expertise. OEMs will be unable to make the strategic transition without the help and support provided by CMOs who are an integral part of their value chain. 3 major CMOs need a special mention on the account of their activities and scale-up performed in their respective business segments. Orchid, who is vertically integrated and is one-stop shop for all leading orthopedic OEMs. Great Batch, who has increased the number of background IPs for commercialization. And Acland can now provide a one-stop shop solution across multiple therapeutic areas. This proves that CMOs are also scaling up to prepare and help their OEMs partners for smooth transition in dealing with supply chain challenges of future. Here are some of the activities that individual CMOs have invested their resources at. A quick look at CMO activity meter puts across the fact that mergers and acquisition remain the focus of their activities along with partnerships and product launch. As our OEMs explored hotbeds across multiple facets of value chain, medical device CMOs did the same. Ackland's acquisition of Lake Region resulted in access to China's low-cost manufacturing capability in one hand, and on the other, Ireland's technical know-how. As an alternative to acquisition, CMOs are now increasingly partnering with their peers who have different set of service capabilities. Leading CMOs have also scaled up the number of background IPs to reduce the lead time for any product launch. Now, did this acquisition have some hidden motive, or did it follow some common trend? Yes, it did. Let's look at the leading CMO, Great Batch Medical. A quick look at Great Batch brought forward a unique conclusion that all leading medical device CMOs, through M&As, first strengthen their position in current segments and then expand to novel areas. Here, Great Batch first bolstered its presence in cardiology space and then ventured into orthopedic, strictly aligned to mega mergers at OEM's front. Could we infer the above conclusion for entire industry? I think not. Let's take a look at the bigger picture. Looking at top CMOs' mergers and acquisition pattern, what is noteworthy is the steep increase in the market share post the acquisition. That is, Ackland scaling up to 18%, Harriers to 6%, and Orchard to 4%. Rather than looking at the market share scale up, we should be focusing on increased capacity and increased therapeutic focus of CMOs such as Ackland, addition of a leading CMO in surgical space such as Harriers, and increased capacity of leading CMO in orthopedic space, that is Orchard. So if we come to analyze the overall scenario, each option has multiple choices attached to it. As we had pointed out at the beginning of the webinar, that current trends in medical device market would eventually change the face of procurement in 2020. The challenges that a sourcing manager faces today might not remain the same in future. Here is a quick glance on how challenges would differ and what would be the rationale contributing to the shift. The challenge the sourcing manager faces currently is consolidation of supply base across regions. However, due to OEM's mergers and acquisition across different therapeutic segments, to quote an example, Medtronic's acquisition of Covidien ensured a synergy between cardiology and surgery, enabling Medtronic to become a one-stop shop for hospitals. We anticipate that in future, sourcing managers would be required to look at their supply base across therapeutic segments and not just by regions. Currently, sourcing managers hover around technology scouting for their existing devices. However, in coming years, due to reimbursement pressure at regulatory front and product differentiation pressure at patient front, would result in OEMs to scout for technologies for complementary devices. The emergence of complementary technologies such as wearable devices, including Zephyr's BioPatch, Cardiocom's fluid sensor-based remote-based monitoring, and Corventis peel and stick require medical device companies to harmonize their operations across different business segments. Medical device procurement is no longer limited to raw material purchase, but extends to various facets, the most important being technology. Currently, sourcing managers' procurement strategy on emerging market is predominantly limited to options such as greenfield operations or contract manufacturing. However, with the emerging need of market to launch products swiftly, there will be shift from interest in greenfield operations solely to private labeling. For example, in cardiac rhythm management, two of the leading private labelers include Medivid and Pastronics. There has been a significant increase in number of private labelers in emerging market to enable a smooth transition. Sourcing managers currently focus most of their energy towards scouting for potential suppliers for their existing products. Since the dynamics of the market are changing at an exponential rate than ever before, CMOs would now be considered for more than just manufacturing. In the future, sourcing managers would need to categorize their procurement strategies by understanding various phases of value chain, which include manufacturing, technology buyout, partnership, and co-development. On the account of growing need of patient to monitor their dosage, Flextronic needs to bring in its plastic and electronics expertise, unlike in past, where just plastic capabilities were needed. CMOs would now be viewed for multiple solutions or services, which could include co-development, technology buyout, supplier innovation, and one-stop shop for multiple therapeutic areas. Yet another example, sourcing managers in future would consider countries such as Israel for procurement strategy on technology buyout and partnership. Similarly, if the requirement is for purely manufacturing, sourcing managers would focus on China, Ireland, Costa Rica, and other such regions. Lastly, sourcing managers today are committed to developing sourcing strategies with optimal vendor relationships and risk management for the current therapeutic areas. However, in 2020, we anticipate that sourcing managers would realize that low price does not often create a long-lasting supply strategy and that they would need to have a category understanding of multiple therapeutic segments. Based on the learnings of recent M&As, it's only prudent to start working towards the procurement challenges of future, which would be multidimensional from both business segments, region, and complementary device perspective. Increasing cost of goods, capped reimbursement, and looming taxes are declining margins, forcing medical device companies to focus on reducing controllable costs. Companies must continue to search for ways to leverage emerging markets for effective and efficient sourcing. Increased regulatory complexity, change in operational structure of suppliers, and emergence of complementary technologies would require medical device companies to harmonize their operations across different business segments. Medical device procurement is no longer limited to raw material purchase, but extends to various facets of value chain. Over the next 5 years, there's going to be a massive shift in the world of procurement, away from strategic sourcing towards category management. In other words, procurement will be asked to shift away from discrete, event-based optimization to continuous optimization.
Thank you very much. That ends the webinar presentation. However, I do notice that there are some questions, so I'll probably take the first question. The question is, when we say synergies could be established between OEMs and CMOs, are there anybody else apart from Agilent, Great Batch, and Orchid who are scaling up their operations to streamline OEM supply chain? I'll take this question. If you look at the top 15 CMOs accounting for close to 50% of the market share, all are on board to fit themselves in this emerging trend. Synovis, Symmetry, Teleflex, they're all scaling up to become a one-stop shop for various OEM partners. The second question. Yeah. When you talk about regions such as China, Costa Rica, and other hubs, are the suppliers venturing into the regions with greenfield operations or just domestic partnership? Okay?
Yeah, I'll take this up. I'm glad you brought this question up. It's a mix of greenfield operations and partnership with regional vendors, mainly because regional vendor partnership reduces lead time to become ready for end service delivery at a much quicker pace.
I think I'll read out the last question. Is the supply market really ready to handle product diversity, which is happening as a result of cross-therapeutic segment mergers? I think it's too early to say that, but however, I think leading CMOs along with their smaller peers have started investing, and by 2020, their readiness index would be way higher than what it is now. And sourcing managers could explore the supply-driven innovation model in a continuous way, which is quite discreet at the time being. And then that wraps up our presentation. Thank you very much for your time today and your participation. We hope you have a good day.